that's not good.
Most of you guys know I've been taking more trips to the service facilities at dealerships, and I've been finding some failures on just about every manufacturer. It seems like after 2020, things are not as reliable as they used to be. Now, obviously, if you're buying the first model year of anything, you're gonna have some issues, obviously, right? Especially when they do updates to the engine, transmission. Even if they're for the better, there's always hidden issues that come with updates, and then they fix them as they go. Now, here's what I'll tell you. A diesel truck should be able to go 1, 2, 3, 100,000 miles without having any major failures. That used to be the case. Today, that's just not the case from any of them. And I don't know why that is. Like, they should really spend more time taking care of the customer. It seems as though they're all working together, because no matter which one you buy, you're really kind of rolling the dice whichever one you choose. But with that being said, for 2024, the Gen 2 L5P Duramaxes have had an issue with the oil cooler. I'm going to show you guys an email someone sent me that might potentially be the cause of this. So I'll read that to you. I'm also going to show you guys some forum posts here about this matter, and I'm going to show you guys something that was released about this issue that kind of explains what's happening and the process to get it fixed. So when I'm done with all this, I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion here. I think that GM really needs to take a look in the mirror, just like Ram and Ford, and they really need to figure out, who are they working for? Are they working for themselves, or are they working for the customers? These trucks need to be reliable. Something that I'm a little frustrated by is the depreciation. Obviously, things depreciate. I guess I've sold some trucks in the past that I was able to buy, pretty cheap and sell back and make money on it, or better yet, not even lose money on it. So those days are over. And when you're building us cars that are not reliable, that's a problem. But one last thing, I do have some bad news for you Gen 1 L5Ps that we'll go over. I'm on GMauthority.com, and this article was released back in September of last year. So this is not a brand new issue, but there's a lot more trucks coming in with this issue. So the article says the 2024 GMC Sierra HD is included in an urgent service update recently issued by GM, which offers a fix for an engine coolant contamination problem that leads to certain units of the truck needing replacement of hoses and the radiator surge tank, as well as a complete coolant flush. It says here only 2024 GMC Sierra HD units motivated by the L5P Gen 2 Duramax is affected for this service update. However, certain 24 Chevy Silverado HDs are also included. So if you don't remember the last video I did with Brian actually had a 2024 Chevy at a GMC store that he was working on. So I guess they were the closest dealership they can get to. Now it goes on to say the 2024 GMC Sierra HD trucks brought to the dealer for any reason should be inspected by dealership service personnel for the coolant contamination issue, per General Motors service update number N232430450. Both new and used Sierra HD units in dealership inventory should also be inspected for the remedy applied if necessary prior to the demonstration. I think that was written wrong. So before you basically trade, sell, or deliver or pick, they should check for this issue. The first stage of the repair is to inspect Sierra HD units with the L5T turbo diesel to see if a film of oily black substance floating on top of the coolant is visible in the surge tank. Presence of this film indicates that the coolant of the truck is in fact contaminated and that the service department should proceed in the second stage. So here's the second stage. It says before the second stage repairs can be carried out, the dealership must order and receive a new surge tank, heater inlet and turbo hoses, radiator inlet and outlet hoses, surge tank inlet and outlet hoses, and the engine coolant air bleed hose and pipe. Once these components are available, a second service visit should be scheduled to replace these listed parts and complete a coolant flush. The dealership should set aside a minimum of 11 working hours to carry out the fix, including both the engine coolant parts replacement and the necessary coolant flush. The fix is offered free of charge, obviously. Here's what I can tell you right now. This is what I know. there's something interesting about that article. Now, granted, it was written back in September, so maybe at that time they didn't know that the oil cooler was failing. They never mentioned that, and they never mentioned replacing that. But I'm pretty sure maybe they did, they just didn't mention it in that article. So here's what I can tell you. You saw the thumbnail for this video. That was a 2022 truck. I'm going to read an email from Byron Callahan. He sent this email to me last month, and I don't check my emails, and luckily I was deleting, and then I just somehow clicked on this one and I lucked out basically. So Byron, thank you so much for sending this to me. So he says, Chevy Duramax 2023 use PF26 oil filters. The 2024 changed to a PF63 oil filter. The engine oil cooler for the 23 is the same on 24 and 25. Now his dealership will not install the PF63 on the diesel due to pressure. I guess that PF63 is the same filter that Brian showed me at the dealership. Actually, I'm gonna show it to you guys in a second. But it says here, PF63 is used on all V6 engines and would have a problem with the flow. I only run the PF26. The oil cooler is machined to accept it because of no change in the oil cooler from 23 to 24 model year. Thank you, Byron, for this, because I'm gonna go out and buy every single PF26 filter I can find, and I'm gonna charge you guys triple what I pay for. I'm just kidding, just kidding. But yes, I'm probably gonna go out and buy maybe 6 or 7 filters. Hopefully they go back. Now here's the question I have to you guys. Is this GM cutting cost so that they can just have every engine have the same filter? You're telling me that a V6 engine is using the same oil filter as my truck that has almost 1,000 pound-feet of torque. Now, I'm gonna show you guys a video really quickly. This video is basically 2 filters. I apologize, I completely forgot to look at them to see the model code for those. So I'm not sure which one is which, but I'm gonna assume the fatter one is probably the PF26, and if someone can confirm that for me, that'd be great. You know, I guess I forget I own this truck, so I can just look under my truck and see what I have, right? So here we go. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's not good. I'm getting my oil changed this Monday. I'm going to request a PF26. And I might try to film this for you guys too, okay? Let's get back to the video. I don't know why they would change the filter for this truck. And the only thing I can think about is to be cost effective to have every model have the same filter so they can just have one. If I'm going to spend $100,000, or even the fact of the matter is this engine costs probably double what a V6 engine would cost, I should have a better filter. And if they don't have these PF26 filters anymore, then I'm going to go out and go buy one from Docks and see what size and how big that filter is. Because obviously if there's an issue with flow, then we need to address this, because I don't want this to happen to me. I don't want to have this issue, because once it happens, my truck's gone. I'm not going to keep it. I just feel as though the manufacturer should do what is right by the customer. I'm going to keep saying that. So last thing I'm going to show you guys here, I got to find it real quickly. I'm going to show you guys a forum post, and then I'll pretty much end the video. I'm on DuramaxForum.com, and this guy named Brutus made a post on November 26, 2024. He says, "Hi everyone, I'm new to the forum." He has a 24 Chevy 3500 with a Duramax, just shy of 36,000 miles. Got a low oil warning, 3,000 miles into his current oil change. So then he saw this guy. So that's the picture he put on. And that's pretty much what you're gonna have happen when this issue arises. So you gotta check your coolant inside the engine bay. So someone else said, "Welcome to the site." Obviously it's gonna be covered under warranty. Someone said that this is not a common issue. I'm like, it's common now. This is what I just read to you guys off of GM Authority. And so they were able to get him in a little bit sooner than he originally expected. So this is back November 27th, okay? And then someone said greatly they're taking care of you without hassle. And then someone made a good point. It says, I check your coolant periodically after the install. Make sure they didn't leave any oil in the cooling system, which is next to impossible if I'm being honest with you. So it says here, this person said that this just happened to me last week. They had 18,000 miles on the truck. Someone else says, same problem with my 24 with 15,000 miles. Dealer had the truck for 3 months and still not ready. That sucks. This is December 9th too, if you're not paying attention to the dates on here. So same problem here. 24 Denali with 15,000 miles. So it's kind of like in around that same, mileage, early on, or it just happens later on. So like I said, here's another picture of that coolant tank with oil. And then it drips down. That's pretty much what I saw when I was at the dealership. And lastly, they actually shared my video. I was going through here looking just for some stuff to talk about. And someone actually watched my video and then put it on here. This is January 29th of 2025. So I laughed so hard when I saw that. So I guess people do watch my videos, huh? Here's what I'm going to tell you. If I have this issue, I'm not getting new coolant lines. I'm not doing it. You're going to get me a new engine. Because if you decided to go to a different oil filter, that's your problem. If you want to cut cost, well, this is the cost you cut. I'm not getting new hoses. I'm just being honest. Or just buy my truck back. I mean, my truck is on its 4th recall. This GMC that I have is a AT4X 2024. It's my favorite truck I've ever had. And I haven't done my 1-year ownership video yet because I was trying to get things taken care of with it before I did the video. But man, I'm going to be negative. My favorite truck absolutely sucked. Absolutely sucked. And when I look back on it, I wish that I would have ordered a high country dually and just did my upfit that I did on my black LTZ. I wish I would have just got either Denali Ultimate or a high country. Got another dually, put 37s on it, and just left it. Because this truck has been my favorite, and it's been my absolute worst. It has been the absolute worst. I've had both my mirrors replaced. Even my fender flares, when I was taking stuff apart the other day, there was missing tabs on the fender flares. There's just been little stuff like that. My transmission, it won't shift sometimes, and it's always been pretty bad from the time I bought it. It's been the worst 10-speed I've had out of the 4 GM trucks that I've owned. So again, I'm not being negative about GM not being reliable because, as I said, they're all kind of having their issues, but it seems as though that oil filter, because the oil cooler has not changed from 23 to 24, maybe the oil filters could be the problem. So if that's the case, then fix it. We should not have people have these problems consistently. And when I was at the shop last week, I think I was there last week, they had 4 or 5 other trucks that came through with the same problem. They actually had one on the lift. So that was a 2022. So that's why I said it's not even the 24s. It has to be that filter. So fix the problem. And that's why whenever I go get my oil change next week, I'm actually going to just go ahead and get rid of that filter, and they're going to put a PF26, or I'm going to go to aftermarket one. That way I potentially could have no issues with this truck because I do plan on keeping it. But yeah, this is definitely frustrating. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I try to be positive. I try to see the positivity in everything. This is hard to see positivity in. This is very frustrating. Granted, it hasn't happened to me, but when you see truck after truck on this forum, and then you go to the dealership and you see truck after truck having the same issue, it's okay, what are you guys doing? And yeah, I know some people are fine with them just replacing the hoses and moving on. I won't be okay with that. So they better fix this issue quickly, because if I have it, they're going to replace my engine or they're going to buy my truck back. So hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. If I have any updates on this, I will post it here, obviously. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an upload. See you guys soon.